Hello and welcome back to Culinary Haven. If you're looking for something new to try for your Sunday breakfast, I have a suggestion here for you. How about some maple syrup glazed scones with crispy bacon? They are absolutely delicious, very filling, and they're really quick and easy to make. I'll show you how. Let's begin. To make our breakfast scones, we'll need 500 grams of plain flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 250 grams of cold butter, 300 ml of buttermilk, 250 grams of smoked streaky bacon, 1 egg with egg wash, some maple syrup to glaze the scones, and some olive oil to fry the bacon. Just a tablespoon or so, just give it go. And we'll start with frying the bacon until it's crispy, then we'll remove it from a frying pan and let it cool completely on a paper towel. So we'll pour some olive oil onto a frying pan, just really a tablespoon. Bacon has plenty of fat of its own, so just to grease the pan. It will take a few minutes to cook all the bacon because this frying pan is not very large, but I choose to use it because I have this bacon press and it fits perfectly and it helps to cook and crisp the bacon very good. So cooking the bacon until it's nice and crispy on both sides. Let's check. Sizzling, looking great, time to turn. There you go. See, yeah, it's perfectly cooked, crispy on both sides, and we're taking it out and placing it onto a paper towel lined plate to absorb all that extra fat. Next batch, see, we only put 1 tablespoon of oil and there's so much more fat in there. The bacon is rendering all the fat, but don't throw it away. You can cook pretty much anything on bacon grease. And the last portion of the bacon is done. Turn it off. Take it off the pan and put it on the paper towel. And now we're going to let it cool completely. And don't forget to use the fat. Now I'm going to pour down the fat that we have left into this little jar and use it later. The bacon is cooked and cooled, and now it's time to prepare the scones. First of all, we'll sift the flour. 500 grams plain flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We're going to prepare them in the food processor. Prepare the dough, but you can make them even if you don't have a food processor at home, just by chopping the cold butter with the flour first and then adding the buttermilk. You can do it by hand actually. Flour in, very cold butter, cubed 250 grams. Process it until the mixture resembles breadcrumbs. The butter is nicely distributed all over the flour, so it's time to add the buttermilk. Add on and pour the buttermilk through the chute. Stop when you see that the dough starts to clump together, and at this point we're going to add the bacon. Just break it into pieces. It's very easy to do by hand. You don't even need a knife because it was cooked very well and all crispy, so it's just easy. very roughly. It doesn't matter because the blade in the food processor will continue chopping it up. Add the bacon and process until the bacon is evenly distributed all over the dough. Let's check. A little bit more, just a few seconds. And now we'll flour the worktop and dump the dough onto the worktop. It actually only happens when we film. See how the bacon is now broken into small tiny pieces. And that's what we want. So if you are doing it by hand, just make sure that you crumble it into really small pieces. When you're taking the dough off the blade, be very careful, it's super sharp. Prepare 2 baking trays lined with baking parchment. We'll roll out the dough, just flour the hands, we'll stick into a rectangle of about, actually a square of about 20 centimeters each side. It doesn't look like much, but you'll be surprised. You'll get plenty. I don't even need the rolling pin. Just press it down. And that's me making it into a square because I'm actually going to use the square cookie cutter. I just prefer doing the savory scones square and the sweet ones round. That's how I tell them apart. But if you would rather have them round, just make it round. It doesn't matter. Any way you like, any shape you like. About 1 inch thick, and flour the cookie cutter so it doesn't stick. And now we're going to just re-roll the scraps and cut out the rest. Back into a little square. Not perfect, but will taste just the same. And now we're going to egg wash them. Egg wash is 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of cold water. And now brush the tops of the scones and make sure that you just brush the tops, because if the egg runs down the sides, it will prevent them from rising. Just the tops. If you have a small family or you live alone, you can bake them all, cool them, and then put them in Ziploc bags and freeze them, and they freeze beautifully, and you can just take them out of the freezer whenever you fancy some and just let them thaw on the countertop. Now we're going to place the trays into the preheated to 180 degrees Celsius oven for 25 minutes, rotating oven. It's been 25 minutes, they're almost ready. I just took them out of the oven, and we're going to brush them with some maple syrup and put them back in the oven for 5 minutes to let the glaze set. Just the tops. Nearly there. There. Back in the oven for 5 minutes. And here we are, they're ready. Just let them cool a little bit and make yourself a cup of tea or coffee and enjoy. And I think you will like them because they're just really lovely, buttery, flaky, with a perfect balance of sweet and savory. What a great way to start the day. Thank you for watching this episode of Culinary Haven, and until next time, bye.